So recently another high volume paper came out purportedly showing that the highest volumes generated more growth, despite the fact that it used an impossible workout, part of which was 8 by 10 RM in the squat on 60 seconds. Sure. James Krieger used this in his weightology report to then conclude, in contradiction to everything he's ever written, that higher volumes have no benefit over moderate, which is interesting, but I'll address that later. Now, Menno Henselsman, he of the I'll read the title and abstract and ignore the rest, wrote a piece about this, and during it decided to take a cheap shot at me by saying that Lyle Mcdonald has no credibility in the fitness industry because he disagreed with Brad's original paper. Now, I find this really interesting, so let's analyze it. Number one, Brad is a sloppy scientist. In over 17 papers out of his lab, he's never blinded the ultrasound tech, him, which is basic scientific method. When criticized about it, he said, "You can trust me." That's not science, that's guru games. Number two, Brad misrepresented the Ostrowski data. It's just that simple. It said that higher volumes were no better than moderate, and he just kind of left that detail out to say it agreed with him. And it did agree with this paper, and that neither showed a statistical benefit of the highest volumes. Finally, the statistics in his paper did not support their overblown conclusion, either in the paper or online. For all four muscles, the p-value was greater than 5, showing no statistical benefit of the higher volumes. 0 muscles. Using the Bayesian factors, BF10, the BF10 for the upper body muscles was essentially 0, no support. And for the lower body muscles, less than 3, which is meaningless support. Now, if any study that the circle jerk, by which I mean Brad, James, Eric, Menno, Mike Israetel, and Greg Nuckols, if a paper came out that they disagreed with those 3 flaws, they would throw it out in a heartbeat. But they give Brad a pass and say that I have no credibility for disagreeing with it, which leads me to draw the conclusion that, in their minds, Brad is above criticism. Brad's paper can never be held to the same standard as any other paper that's ever been published. And what I find interesting about that is every single one of those individuals that are doing this, let me back up. When I've criticized other papers that weren't Brad's, I never lost credibility. So again, Brad's paper is somehow above criticism. And the people who are saying this and who are believing it all happen to benefit from their friendship with him. Puts their names on his papers. Gets some seminar gigs, except for Greg Nuckols. Want to make sure that I'm very, very clear on that. They simply have to keep in his good graces by defending a paper that, written by anyone else, would have been thrown out. And I find that interesting. Beyond that, let's talk about credibility a little bit. Even if you want to disagree with me about the Ostrowski data, and that's fine. When he was criticized about not going into more details, Brad said that the journal it was published in, Medicine, Science, and Sports and Exercise, had a word limit. That's not true. If you look at the submission guidelines, the title and abstract have a strict word limit. The paper itself, the only thing they say is the average manuscript is about 20 pages. That's a guideline. So basically, Brad was playing the typical guru game and lying. Period. He knows better. Mike Israetel also repeated that lie, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he was just repeating what Brad told him. I don't think he did it deliberately because I don't think he checked. Number two, when James Krieger was discussing the statistics with Brian Butcher on Reddit, he asserted that not all references consider a BF10 of less than 3 as meaningless. He's never provided the reference. I asked him to provide it to me months ago. Would have taken him 30 seconds if it existed. But apparently, he didn't want to shut me the fuck up. And here's why. It doesn't exist. Now, being a supposed statistician, Menno should know this, right? He's sure as fuck not a physiologist. And yet he's giving these weak sauce statistics a pass because it's Brad's paper. That's not credibility. That's not even integrity. So basically, both Brad and James made bold-faced lies. And no one that benefits from Brad's friendship seems to want to address them. And I'm the one with no credibility? Basically, it's part of their income stream to stay friends with Brad, to defend a paper that they now have all disagreed with. Every single one of them agrees with what I said over a year ago. James, Mike Israetel, even this puff piece, Eric agreed with me. And yet somehow I have no credibility when these motherfuckers just flip-flopped, hoping no one would notice. They defended Brad's paper vehemently because it was Brad, not because of the merit of the paper. They've ignored Brad's lies because it benefits them. They can dislike me all they want, but here's the thing. I'm not beholden to anybody. I'd rather be right than liked. Yeah, so I lost Brad, James, and Eric's friendship for daring to criticize the great Brad Schoenfeld. Don't give a fuck. I don't want to be friends with dirtbags, with guru assholes who can't accept criticism or address it directly. Hell, when Eric threw me under the bus, I took his name off my women's book. I had to reprint 1,000 copies, cost of over $10,000, and I had about 900 of the others left. That's money I'll never make back, not to mention that my sales are probably worse for having taken his name off of it. That's integrity, because I have it and they don't. They will say whatever is good at the time to keep their income stream running. I've been saying the same thing about hypertrophy for about 15 years. When the science changes, I'll change my opinion. But now they all agree with me. So let's sum up. Any paper with Brad's weaknesses would have been dismissed out of hand by the circle jerk. And yet they defend it because it's Brad. Brad told a flat-out lie about a word limit. James told a flat-out lie about a reference doesn't exist. Nobody in the circle jerk will address it. If you guys want to know who has no credibility, just look in the mirror.